graders, and welcome to lesson 7.5 on angles and polygons. So polygons are named by the number of sides they have. You already know this, and here's a chart of all their sides and what they're called. You probably already have this memorized by now. What we're going to learn today is that the sum of the measures of their interior angles also depends on the number of sides that they have. So you're going to need to know that information to figure out what the total measure of all their interior angles are. Here's your key concept. So for a polygon with n sides, that's just the variable. It's however many sides it has. You'd fill in for that n. The sum of the measures of the interior angles is n, so remember that's how many sides it has, minus 2 times 180 degrees. If I could not remember that, the best way to figure it out would be to use a triangle, because you already know that a triangle has 180 degrees. So a triangle has 3 sides, right? So say that I know that a triangle has 3 sides. So I'm going to take away a certain number, and then I'm going to multiply it times 180 to equal 180. What would I have to take away from 3 to multiply that number times 180 to get 180? Well, I'd want my answer to be 1, so 3 minus 2 would give me 1 times 180 equals 180. You don't need to know this. This is a trick to help you to remember what this formula is if you get stuck. Just think of a triangle. Think of a triangle. 3 sides minus 2 sides is 1 times 180 equals 180. But we can use this fancy little trick to find out the total sum of interior measures for any type of polygon. So what is the sum of the interior angles of a square? Well, how many sides does a square have? 4. So 4 minus 2 is 2. And I'm going to multiply 2 times 180, which equals 360 degrees. So the sum of all of the interior angles in a square will equal 360 degrees. And that's true of any 4-sided figure, any quadrilateral, whether it's a rhombus or a trapezoid or a parallelogram, any of them, they will all equal 360 degrees because they have 4 sides. Look at number 2, a hexagon. So go ahead and solve that yourself. Plug in the number of sides for a hexagon, subtract 2 from it, and multiply it times 180. Let's look at another type of example. So you can use this fancy little formula to find missing angles. It's going to require one additional step. So here I have a missing angle for x, and I want to know what the measure of it is. So my first step is to figure out what the total of all these interior measures should add up to be. Let me count how many sides my figure has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's a 5-sided figure, so it's a pentagon. So I am going to do 5 minus 2 times 180. So 3 times 180 equals 540 degrees. So that's my first step. And now I'm going to write an equation to solve for x. So I know that 75 plus 130 plus 135 plus 90, because I remember that a right angle is 90 degrees, plus x is going to equal 540. And our rules for equations say to simplify first, so I'm going to add all of these like terms right here. I'm going to use my calculator to do it. Okay, so all of those numbers added up to 430 plus x equals 540. Now I'm going to subtract, undo the addition and subtraction, subtract 430, and my answer is that x equals 110 degrees. And I could check that answer by plugging it in and adding them all up and making sure that I got 540. There's a second application for knowing the total interior measures, and that is that a regular polygon has all of its sides and angles congruent. So what that means is since all of the angles are going to be congruent, if I find out the total interior measures of a regular polygon, I can divide that number by the amount of angles that by the amount of sides or angles that it has, and that will tell me the average or what each angle measure is. So let's look at this example. A carpenter wants to know the angle measured of the window at the right in order to cut out the correct space in a wall. If the window is a regular octagon, what is the measure of each angle? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? An octagon has 8 sides. 8 minus 2 times 180. So 6 times 180 equals 1,080 degrees. And now my second step is going to be to take 1,080 degrees and to divide it by, what do I want to divide it by? Good, 8. And I used my calculator for that, and I found out that the answer was 135. So my answer is that each of those sides are going to be 135 degrees each. All right, now here is 2 examples for you to go and try on your own. The first example shows that this is a regular polygon because all of the sides are congruent and all of the angles are congruent. So I would like you to find the measure of each angle. First, you'll have to find the total and then you'll divide it. And for this one, you're also going to find the missing measurement, and that is this X right here. So you will need to find out what is the total measure of this figure, and then you'll have to add them and subtract it from the total. So do that. Bring your work to class tomorrow. I look forward to seeing you. Go ahead and get to work.